Hello students, this video lecture will walk you through the parts of the tibia, the fibula, the tarsal bones, the metatarsals, and the phalanges. So I'm going to use this anatomy app to help us, and I'll be transitioning back and forth to your notes page that you're using. So as I zoom in, we're looking at this bone right here. That's the tibia. That's the shin bone, the larger of the two lower leg bones. You can see the same over here. It's always positioned medially within the lower leg. And we have the fibula over here. This is the lateral of the two lower leg bones, and it's significantly thinner than the tibia. You can see a huge size difference between the two. So remember, with the word fibula, you see the LA at the end of the word. That tells you it's lateral, and you can remember it's the little bone because of the word fib in the beginning. So fibula is small, little, and lateral. Tibia is the large shin bone that's always positioned medially. So let's walk through the parts of the tibia. Last class we had already discussed the idea that there was condyles and epicondyles on the tibia. So I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to use the right side just like in your notes. And we had divided our tibia into two major regions on the proximal end. This entire region being the medial condyle, and this entire region being the lateral condyle. Remember, the condyles are knuckle-shaped bumps that form joints. So upon the condyle sits an epicondyle. And those you'll see in the notes worksheet. This one right here is an epicondyle. I'll highlight these. That'd be the medial epicondyle and the lateral epicondyle. See the same here, medial, where's my pen? Medial epicondyle, lateral epicondyle. Okay. And then between the two condyles, this may or may not be new for you. Let me go ahead and delete this femur here. Between the two condyles, we see a protrusion. That's a good angle right there. That comes up like this, then it has a little dip in it, then it comes up again and down. And to me, it always resembles the letter M. So between those two condyles is a part known as the Intercondylar Eminence. And you'll find that in your vocabulary list at the top. So I'm just going to make maybe an M shape here, and then another M shape here, kind of a fancy M, to represent the intercondylar eminence. Eminence is, again, another word for a bony bump. We got a lot of words so far that mean bony bumps. So that's the intercondylar eminence on the anterior view and on the posterior view, and that takes care of our sort of joint area. Let's take a look and see what other words we have. Tibial tuberosity. Of course, I'll show you the tibial tuberosity. I'm going to use this orangey color, and that beauty is right there. Tibial tuberosity is only showing on the anterior side. That is an anterior feature, and that will help you distinguish between the anterior view and the posterior view where it's absent. So on our app, they didn't do a good job. Well, you can see over here, this is the patellar tendon, or technically the patellar ligament that's attaching the quadriceps, and it's right underneath there. So it is this bump that protrudes on the surface of the tibia, anterior surface. Now remember, in this view, we are looking at two anterior legs, whereas in your notes, we have one anterior view and one posterior view. That's why I'm not transitioning this over to the posterior side. So that's the tibial tuberosity. Again, your big quadriceps muscle attaches all the way across the knee joint onto the tibial tuberosity. Here is an x-ray of the left knee. We're looking at it from a medial view, and you can see the femur, patella, tibia, fibula, and I want you to notice the tibial tuberosity there projecting off the front of the tibia. And then I'm going to show you where the tibial tuberosity has been broken off. The next part's called the anterior border, or you could call it the crest. You do not need to call it anterior border or crest. Choose one or the other. So anterior border, just as the name implies, is the quite sharp border along the anterior side of the tibia. Anterior border or anterior crest is on the anterior side. This is what you hit on the coffee table or someone's hitch out in the parking lot when it's dark, and it hurts really bad because there's no muscle covering it, so it's literally skin and bone. So if we look over here, I don't know if they did a great job. You can almost see it here. If you check the models in class, you'll find that quite sharp edge on the front of your shin, and you should be able to feel that as well underneath your skin. It's right down the center of your shin bone there, your tibia. Okay, so I put that one in green. It's clearly going to be anterior. And then the last item, this is a new word for us, malleolus, a medial malleolus. Medial malleolus is going to be this portion right here of the tibia that hangs down, similar to the way a styloid process was, if you remember the forearm. This is called the medial malleolus. So that has to face medially. So if you are looking at your tibia model, you notice that there will be a tibial tuberosity on the front, a little bump right here. So you know that's the anterior side. And then as you move your way distally, find this little chunk right here that hangs down. The medial malleolus, that's got to be on the medial aspect. Okay, if that thing is hanging over here on the lateral side, then you've got it either backwards or on the wrong leg. So two features you need to keep track of are the tibial tuberosity and the medial malleolus, and that will tell you if you have a right or a left. And that should conclude our tibia list. Just double check. Faces medially. Okay, fibula, not much going on here. The head and the neck are on the proximal end. So head. This neck is kind of puny. Neck. I think the lines for this are actually over here. So here's the neck of the fibula, and again, the head of the fibula. And the only other part that we need to know about the fibula is called the lateral malleolus. And so that is this part that's hanging down on the distal end. So notice we've got a medial malleolus over here on one bone, that's the tibia, and the lateral malleolus over here on the fibula. Okay, so those two collectively, the malleoli, that's what we have for those inner and outer ankle bumps. That's the ankle bump that you maybe are familiar with. And you notice that the lateral one is a little lower because the fibula actually hangs down further into the ankle joint than this tibia medial malleolus is. So that's the fibula. I'm not going to discuss how to determine right and left, and even proximal and distal, because it's really tricky. So all you have to know is when you see it, the fibula, and identify its parts, and I'll give you some kind of reference point so that you will know what I'm asking for, whether it's head, neck, or lateral malleolus. I think I use this peach color. Okay, other. I feel like you can do these by yourself. I hope you can. Interosseous membrane, we've seen it before. Interosseous membrane is right here in between the two bones. I'm not doing good with my colors, but you know what I'm talking about. This business in here. Same, interosseous membrane. And then lastly, the proximal tibiofibular and distal tibiofibular joint. Remember, it's just like radio ulnar. right here where those two bones are interacting, and maybe you want to do it in a different way, I don't know. Proximal tibiofibular joint, distal tibiofibular joint. There you have it. That is the relationship between tibia and fibula. So let's go ahead and move to our last section in this entire unit, and that will be the ankle bones, the foot bones, and the toe bones. From here over essentially, is almost identical, almost 100% identical to your hand. The only difference is instead of calling the foot bones metacarpals, we call them metatarsals. So this I'm going to go very quickly through. We'll spend more time over here on the tarsals because those are new. So the tarsals are your ankle bones, and there are 7 of those. And I'm going to give you a little catchphrase like I did with the wrist to remember them in order, but we have to know where to start, of course. So here is the catchphrase. I'm going to start with a guy's name, Cal. It's going to be kind of a baseball reference. Cal, that's a guy that I made up, fictitious, counts 3, 2, 1, now throw. As you know, holy moly, what we're using is the first letter of each one. Look at Cal counts. There's apparently no letters here. Now throw. So there are some things that you have to know. First of all, Cal right here references this bone called the calcaneus. The calcaneus is your heel bone, and it is impossible for you to pick the wrong one, I feel like. Heel bone. So where's the heel bone? What letter is it? Let's go ahead and look at this view. That's like a superior view of the foot. We're looking down just like this. The heel bone is this big sucker. It's actually letter B. So this right here is calcaneus, letter B. What you might want to do is keep track of your letters up here. And I'll do that as well. That's letter B. So color that one in, whatever color you choose. We're going to start there, calcaneus. Okay, I've got mine in pink, and now I'm going to move directly forward towards the toe. So I'm going to put an arrow in here just so you can see the direction. That's not an arrow. There we go. That's an arrow. I'm going to move forward from calcaneus, find your heel bone, calcaneus, and then move forward to the next bone, the one that makes contact with it anteriorly. So it doesn't matter if you're looking at the top view, which is what I'll give you, or the bottom view, plantar view. You're going to move straight forward towards the toes to find your next bone. This one also starts with C. This one's called the cuboid. So I'm going to make that one green. So I'm going to mark that in all places, and you do the same. Okay, so mark my cuboid in green. Remember, in order to find that, you find the heel bone, calcaneus, counts, go forward and make it cuboid. Okay, so we have the two C's together. Then we have this weird situation going on right here, 3, 2, 1. Those bones, 3, 2, 1, they all actually have the same exact name, and the way that we differentiate between them is by seeing which toe, metatarsal and toe, they line up with. So I'm going to be really obnoxious with my numbers here. It's already numbered for you. 3, 2, 1. Okay, notice these line up with the first, second. Oh, jeepers. Come on, babe. Follow it up here. All right, that's supposed to be a 2. I'm going to have to cheat and put it in numbers. 2. And third, I'm going to finish it out while I'm here. There we go. They line up with the firsts, the seconds, and the thirds. Now, what is their name? These are all called cuneiforms. So this one over here with a 3 on it is the third cuneiform. With a 2, the second cuneiform. With a 1, the first cuneiform. So I'm going to go ahead and color code everything. And what you got to remember in our mnemonic, Calcaneus, Cuboid, 3, 2, 1, those are all cuneiforms. Okay, so you color code your notes. I'm going to do the same. Okay, we're all color coded. I use this blue color. You can see 3, 2, 1. Also notice that I've been proceeding in the pattern. Cal, straightforward, counts. We'll go over toward the big toe because that's where we want to land, right? Number 1, this way. 3, 2, 1. Same over here. Cal, counts. 3, 2, 1. You can figure out you're doing it incorrectly if you start with 3 over here. I don't know how you do that, but 3, 2, 1, that doesn't make any sense. Now throw, we know the next one's going to start with N. You can see up in your list, that's navicular. So where is navicular? We're going to head back towards where we started. Here it is, letter D in the list. Navicular here, here. I'm going to color code everything. You do the same. Okay, so we just proceeded now in this direction, this way, almost like we did with the carpals. We made a little loop. We only have one left. It's this guy right here. This is called the talus, and that is the throw portion of our little sentence down here. Talus, we can't see as much on this plantar view, a little bit there. Calcaneus, cuboid, third, second, first cuneiform, navicular, talus. So that is going to be letter A, and I used red. Okay, so make sure you're color coding. Now, I'll give you another little phrase. It's not really a mnemonic, but it's just a phrase to help you remember how this is all situated. And I want to transition from this page to the atlas. Okay, so let me get rid of all this stuff. I'm going to reorganize this. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is kind of a non-traditional view of our foot in the atlas. I've flipped this guy all the way around, but I wanted to show you how the tibia and fibula relate to the tarsals in this view. So here's the tibia. We know that this is the tibia because it's more medial, and that this must be the fibula because not only is it smaller, but it's lateral, and we know fibula means small and lateral. Little clues in the words. So then, if this is the tibia, what bone is this right here? That's the talus right there. And if I transition this view, I want you to see where the talus is in regard to the tibia and then in regard to the rest of the tarsals. So I'm going to twist. There we go. This is a lateral view. We could also look at it more medial, although this foot's in the way. So I want you to remember this little sentence. The talus meets the tibia and sits on top of the tarsals. The talus meets the tibia and sits on top of the tarsals. So you see how the talus is actually on top of all of the other bones. It's more proximal within the foot, and then right underneath it we know there's our big fatty heel bone, calcaneus. So if that's cal, where do we go from there? Let me delete the fibula and the tibia and my random interosseous membrane, and we'll look at this side, kind of upside down I guess from where we were. There's the heel, so calcaneus, cuboid, third cuneiform. They call it lateral. You can call it lateral, but this is third, second, first cuneiform. Navicular. There's talus on top of the tarsals, and that is what makes a joint with the tibia. There it is over here. All right, so I'll write that sentence down for you, and then we'll quick look at this business and be done. Okay, there's that sentence. If you want to copy it down, just gives you a little bit of orientation how this page and the last page go together. Okay, finally, these bones here, put them in blue. Well, let's do this view. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are all metatarsals. These are the tarsal group, tarsals, metatarsals, just like we had carpals and metacarpals. So these are all metatarsals. I'm going to get rid of those, and each metatarsal has 3 components, exactly like the metacarpals. It has a base, a middle section called the shaft, and a distal portion called the head. Okay, exactly the same. So that's actually what these lines are for, base, shaft, and head. Every metatarsal will have the same basic parts in that same orientation. And so just a reminder, if we were to have some kind of a fracture, let's say, this is very common. Here's my fracture site. I'm going to make them X. That fracture would be on the base of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th metatarsal. Very common fracture site. Well, not the base, but necessarily like right about there. So we proceed in the exact same manner as we would have with the metacarpals. Phalanges are 100% identical. Quick review. These are all firsts. Notice it's lining up with the first cuneiform. So first proximal phalanx, first distal phalanx. We have 3 in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, proximal, middle, distal phalanx. These are all the seconds. So 2nd proximal, 2nd middle, 2nd distal, 3rd proximal, 3rd middle, 3rd distal, etc. And then again, each phalanx, which is singular of the word phalanges, each phalanx has a base. I think I use this color. A shaft. Oops, a little far. And a head portion. Okay, even this tiny little thing right here. Base, shaft, head, base, shaft, head. So last, let's say we had a fracture exactly there. That would be in the shaft of the 2nd middle phalanx, shaft of the 2nd middle phalanx. And that concludes the lower leg, ankle, and foot.